want to show you something from everyday parts when we check in the vehicle over for you, which is the most basic issues, which on some cars it could be quite costly, on some cars not really, and they are kind of pretty much wear and tear items over the ages. So let me start with the most common things, what everyone loves, brakes, right? So if you see it, this is a brake disc, right? And this is really worn, scored brake disc, and it's been driven without friction material left on it. So that's what pretty much happens when you don't do your everyday checks, right? So when the friction material wears out, the metal to metal wear starts to occurring on the brake disc surface, and it starts damaging the brake disc, and basically you're gonna end up with £250 bill. On some of the supercars, sport cars, luxury cars, it could cost you £1,500, £1,800, depends on the price of the parts. So to see how the brake pad's actually looking, this is the friction material of the brake pad, right? And this is, you can see, kind of damaged brake pad, worn out, kind of bit of negligence of the driver. And let me show you how basically in a simple way your car can be stopped when you actually pressing the brake pedal. So these are the brake pads, right? And this is the brake disc. So we have caliper which goes across here. So we dismantle this caliper because it's going to go in a scrap. And but this is what pretty much happens. When you press the brake pedal, brake fluid runs around the pipes or through the ABS module, not the module but the actuator thing, and then it runs here, and when you press it, there's this, the cylinder here which presses, and what happens, it presses together the brake pads and squashing the brake disc in the middle. So that's how your brakes work pretty much in a simple way. And friction material is rubbing against the disc. So when the friction material runs out, you can see what happens. You ended up spending money. And that's what we can find out on a simple inspection. Right? This is just the basic common things. And you've got these ball joints here, which are worn. On this one with the hand, I can't make a move when it's moving. Now I can actually feel it. When I'm moving up and down, I can feel the little clunk. And this is track rod, worn out track rod, which bolts on a steering rack shaft, you know, and then obviously you got ball joint here, track rod end, right? This is as well common part of the steering, and you got a movement here inside and out, and then your tracking changes and the wheels start pointing on different angles, and your tires actually start wearing out. So yeah, to recap, the brake pad, the friction material, and the brake pad which is literally worn, neglected, been driven, and the disc damage occurs, right? And this is one of the lower arm ball joints. On this one you can see the lower arm can be not replaced, but the ball joint section can be replaced. So you got what happens, the damage occurs with the rubber dust cover, right? And then it's all the sand's getting in there, the grease gets out, right? And sometimes you get in like squeaking noise when you're turning a wheel. You see, you got a grease in, and when this gets dry, it wears out the seat, and when you go over the bumps, you got clunking noise from the front or from the back when you got anti-roll bar links worn out. Right, so these are the common parts of the suspension, and occasionally it fails your MOT, but we can find out on inspection when some parts are in fair condition. That means it might be replacing in 1-2 years, but it's still it's not making a noise as such, and will not change the tracking position of the steering system, for the steering system. So here we have another quite important part, which is actually AC compressors clutch, right? So when you press the button AC, what happens is obviously the belt drives the air compressor, right? So we have here a magnet. When the AC switch feels the pressure in air conditioning gas pipes, right? So then it's a pressure switch, then you press it, then the magnetic field moves this part, which is like similar as a clutch plate on between the engine and the gearbox when you're pressing the clutch pedal. So similar process happens, goes in and out, engagement and disengagement. So this, when you're pressing the button, magnetic field squashes the plates together and runs your compressor, and then through the several other processes you get in your cold air blowing through the vents. So when we're dismantling this little unit, which could cost you up to £350 to replace, occasionally there's the bearing inside which could fail. This one, occasionally you can replace it separately if you dismantle this unit. This slides on a compressor shaft, and you can change the bearing, but no one pretty much does that. They put a new unit on. If this magnet fails, where there's holes inside, then you pretty much can't do nothing. You just put a new unit, which is about $350, brand new. Possibly could be picked up from the scrapyard if it's used. And so yeah, just to recap, this is CarExamer garage. We do use car inspections, so that was a simple thing what I wanted you to show, just to get some bit of understanding how these things look, right? And when you're looking through when you're going to check the car yourself, just look through the wheels, yeah, and then you will look through the wheels. You'll be able to see something like that. So that means you're looking between this plate and the disc side of the wall. Look here, that's your friction material. So this is about 60% one pad. That's how you can see yourself when you do a little check of the vehicle yourself. Driving through the potholes, see if nothing is rattling from suspension. If there's something rattling, the more likely one of the ball joints on the lower arm, or track rod drop links, or if you've got some sort of play when you through movement on the steering wheel when you're moving right to the left, it could be one of the track rods gone, or track rod end as well. So that's pretty much it from us. At some point I will show you something more. If you want to see something more, how other parts look and how you can just quickly see it yourself, or to see how the battery is charging. If those alternators is charging, do the battery test. Just drop the comment below, or watch some other videos in one of the corners popping up. Thank you for watching. Take care. Make sure you check those cars, right? Don't take anyone's opinion. Check it. Take care.